Beginning chapter 30. In the interest of time and space. Senator Patrick Leahy, Democrat of Vermont, who served as vice chairman on the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee in 1958 through 86, was a friend of Senator Byrd. Leahy's position on Byrd's Senate Appropriations Committee, coupled with his former position in intelligence, afforded him an inordinate amount of power and influence. While I had cause to have contact with Senator Leahy on numerous occasions, Kelly was apparently more familiar with him than I. This was evidenced by our meeting with him in Vermont in the late summer of 1985. Alex Houston was booked to entertain at the State Fair in Rutland, Vermont. The entire trip proved to be a whirlwind of covert activity for me, during which time I obtained a packet of papers from an unidentified operative with orders to hand deliver them to Senator Leahy. Kelly has been kept as busy as I since Boxcar Willie and other CIA operative pedophiles were in abundance at the fair in Leahy's home state. President Reagan had given me specific orders to carry out while in Vermont, which including delivering a message to Patrick for him. He also told me, when you go to Vermont, be sure to go buy, B-U-I, LL Bean. Literally interpreting what he suggested, I asked, the whole store? No, Reagan laughed. I meant stop by there. I didn't mean buy the whole store. I already own it. Just buy a few things, like the LL Bean Swiss Army knife. When Reagan said he already owned LL Bean, I thought he was referring to the amount of shopping he did there. He wore LL Bean shirts, sweaters, and slippers. He slept on LL Bean flannel sheets in his LL Bean pajamas and carried his presidential black LL Bean Swiss Army knife, with which he cleaned his fingernails. But I learned the real significance of Reagan's statement when I stopped by the Vermont LL Bean outlet on the final day of Houston's lengthy Vermont State Fair engagement. The LL Bean outlet, located near the top of supposedly the highest mountain in the pristine forest, appeared to be a storefront for CIA covert activity. When I asked for the clerk assigned to Kelly and me for a black Swiss Army knife, his response was indicative of familiarity with government covert operations. Using the old familiar statement trigger, he ordered Kelly and me to walk this way and led us through a storage area and out the back door. There, a black unmarked helicopter was waiting on a pad for us. The pilot flew us a short distance to the top of a mountain, where we landed in a clearing next to a house that appeared to have no other access. The place was run like a fortress, and two guards in suits met us as Kelly and I emerged from the helicopter. The guards escorted us into the house, keeping Kelly while I met with Senator Leahy. I walked into an office-type room that had a panoramic view of the wilderness, where Leahy was leaning against a highly polished wooden desk. He was wearing an orange flannel shirt that lost its purpose and crispness. It was my experience that Leahy's surroundings, like his appearance, were as sanitized as possible. I delivered the document and message as ordered. Leahy then proceeded to explain that he was aware that my death was imminent due to my groundwork participation in NAFTA, and that subsequently Kelly would be traded to the West Coast pornography operation. Not only did he obviously want to join in using me up before my 30th birthday, but he had tracks to cover up where Kelly was concerned. Most of my traumatic encounters with Leahy were alien-themed, but he often relied on my Catholic upbringing to drive his points into my mind. From my perspective, Leahy was unquestionably one of the most intelligent criminals of this entire shadow government. His carefully contrived chameleon-like characteristics provided him the latitude of appearing to share the principles and beliefs of whomever he was masterfully manipulating on both a national and international level. He won Reagan's respect through their shared diplomatic ties to the Vatican and his Irish Catholic heritage. While he appeared publicly to oppose Byrd on Senate appropriations issues, they actually worked together behind the scenes in their shared world dominance efforts. Again, from my perspective, Leahy was a loner who had his own agenda and answered to no one I knew. Leahy's intelligence was often manifested to me by triple depth meaning to his words and actions. Everything he did was for a deeper purpose, and this trip to Vermont proved to be no different. Kelly and I had been given what felt like a sophisticated variation of the NASA CIA designer drug Tranquility, which turned us into the robotic mind-controlled slaves that Senator Leahy preferred. As the drug was overtaking me, I attentively listened to what Leahy was saying. God condones that one, Leahy said, referring to both my role in NAFTA and his pedophile abuse of my daughter. Of course, God is not the one you need to be concerned with. He is a passive God, one who's passed on and lives only in a Bible. The God you need to be concerning yourself with is all-seeing, all-knowing God. That great big eye in the sky. It sees all, records all. Sound advice. It sees all, records all, and transmits the information right where it is needed. Let me give you some sound advice. Keep your mouth shut, and none of this need be known anywhere. Only your Vice President Bush will know for sure, and he's been keeping secrets all his life. I'm not suggesting George Bush is God. Oh no, he is much more than that. He is a semi-God, which means he is straddling the heavenly and earthly planes in order that he take action on what he sees with his ever-watchful eye in the sky. Content with his metaphorical manipulations of my literal mind, he finished. Now that's enough foreplay. Go get the kid. Kelly was standing quietly and robotically just outside the door with the two guards. They ushered us down the hall, through an ornately carved door, and into Leahy's bedroom. The room was highly effeminate for a man, decorated in pastels, white eyelet, and huge billowy pillows. When the senator walked in, Kelly groaned, "No, not you again." Leahy signaled Kelly with his hand, thus switching her into total silence and submission. Then, accessing specific personality fragments that previously compartmentalized in my mind from Bush's and Byrd's sexual abuse of Kelly, Leahy began undressing. His pale skin looked even whiter against the whitest eyelid sheets, which seemed to accentuate the perversity of his pedophile actions with my daughter that I was forced to watch. His torturous abuse complete, Leahy ordered Kelly and me to follow him downstairs to his torture lab. I had seen and experienced basement spy conditioning torture chambers before, both in the US and Mexico, and Leahy's torture lab looked more like a NASA lab. His access to the latest advancements in electronic drug mind control technology was consistent with his ability to use it. I was immediately strapped to a cold chrome and stainless steel table by the two guards. Leahy began reciting, "Cross your heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in your eye." A wiry needle was pushed slowly into my right eye while Kelly was forced to watch. This entire ordeal was directed for trauma purposes, primarily at Kelly, since Leahy figured I would be dead soon anyway. If you holler, if you cry, Kelly will be the first to die. Pray to God and Bush will hear, because his eye now has an ear. Leahy interrupted his poem to explain that I was now a computerized, computer, separate word, EYESED, computerized link up to Bush's eye in the sky, with the needle-like antenna transmitting every word Kelly spoke. He continued with me. Each word you speak, each breath you sigh, your eye trance, Trance, mits. Your eye transmits to the eye in the sky. Kelly believed it, which locked her into silence. Leahy's secret was safe for the moment. While I was literally out of my mind from intense pain, Leahy utilized the opportunity to program me with what he said was financial information to deliver to Bird. This required no personality, therefore the shattered fragments Leahy had deliberately shifted me into when raping Kelly wouldn't be ideal to computerize his message. He told me that my body was a conduit to link him up to the eye in the sky, where he was transmitting the information for storage until such time as Bird accessed it. Only the tiniest little prick can access the computerized storage bank, Leahy said, laughing at his own double-meaning mockery of Bird's penis size. This was not the first time Leahy transferred apparently sensitive U.S. government intelligence information to Bird through me. I had photographically recorded numbers in my mind computer banks ever since Leahy prepared me for the task some months before at White Sands Missile Base in New Mexico. It was there, in the top-secret mind control area of the base, that Leahy subjected me to extreme tortures and high-tech programming. Combining purposes as usual, Leahy was saying funding will continue to be approved as long as mind control projects as this continue to receive your full attention. I was treated like a lab animal with no apparent regard for whether I lived or died. I was put in an electrified metal-walled and floored cell, referred to by some as the woodpecker grid, which provided inescapable physical torture. In spite of his tortures, intelligence, high-tech methodisms, and sophisticated mind manipulations, Senator Leahy failed to cover up his secrets, including his sexual abuse of Kelly. He did succeed, however, in causing Kelly and me to be hospitalized from his torturous abuses upon our return to Tennessee. I had suffered excruciating pain and irreparable damage to my right eye, while Kelly psychosomatically suffered respiratory failure due to his extreme traumas. The physical manifestations of the psychological devastation wreaked on us by Senator Leahy failed to raise questions from outsiders as to the cause. Equally worthy of mention are numerous other high-profile perpetrators that Kelly and I had exposure to over the years. These individuals, in spite of the CIA's need-to-know motive of maintaining the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing, were in positions to be knowledgeable of Kelly's and my victimizations. All of them accessed our programming either for drug distribution, banking, messaging delivery, mind control demonstrations, or most often for their perverse sexual gratification. These two numerous individuals and events are significant chapters in my life who, in the interest of time and space, will be fully exposed in a forthcoming book. Rather than point a finger at these individuals for reasons of, I'm guessing, national security. Vengeance. Rather than point a finger at these individuals for reasons of vengeance, there is none comparable. They must be publicly identified for all of our sakes and above all for our children's sake. Therefore, a list of perpetrators has been compiled and strategically distributed for posterity, as well as to prevent these individuals from interfering in any congressional hearings that should be forthcoming as a result of this exposure. And that's it for chapter 30.